first race of the 2018 Elly Productions Cup Series season will take place in beautiful Daytona, Florida, home to many scenes, as well as the world-famous Daytona International Speedway, host of races such as the Daytona 500 and the Rolex 24. 5 Elly Productions Cup Series drivers would get ready and run 30 laps around this racetrack, being led down to the green flag by the 49 of Elly Productions. To his outside was Logan Shore, then behind them Preston Cope, Blake Garcia, and then in the final row was the 87 of Blaze McKinney. As these drivers would get ready for a 30-lap race around this racetrack, and they all have one thing on their minds: winning this race so they get a free pass to the playoffs. The pace car would roll off onto pit road. They'd head into the restart zone, and the 49 car of Elly Productions would lead them to the green for the first race of the season. As you can see, it didn't take long for that inside lane to get rolling pretty quickly. It was the 49 of Elly Productions, the 24 of Preston Cope, and the 87 of Blaze McKinney who would get that inside lane going pretty quickly. It would only take one corner for the 9 of Logan Shore to fall from 2nd to 4th. As you can see on that inside lane, let's get an onboard view of the 49 of Elly Productions. Has nothing but clean air ahead of him to race down the backstretch. Preston Cope staying glued to that back bumper of the 49 car as we cut to the first major highlight of the race, which came on lap number 2, where the 49 would move up and the 24 of Preston Cope would take advantage. He would take the lead down the backstretch on lap number 2 with the 87 of Blaze McKinney in tow. As you see him getting a little bit squirrely on that bottom lane. I'll kind of rustle up the 87 car, and then the 49 car moved down to the 3rd position. And then heading down to the front stretch, this would be the first lap led by Preston Cope in this race. It would not be the last one. Blake Garcia in the 07 car would have a DNF in the end due to computer connectivity problems. He would eventually finish 5th, so he'd still get points out of today's race. Then the 87 of Blaze McKinney would move up. 24 of Preston Cope got a little squirrely on the bottom lane, forced the 87 up the racetrack, and then the 49 of Elly Productions would take advantage and take away that 2nd spot. Logan Shore in the 9 would take away the 3rd spot as well. As we take a rear camera view of the 24 car, as you can see the 49 of Elly Productions just blocking those cars behind him, trying not to let anybody by, just guarding that 2nd position for everything it's worth. And a battle for 2nd between Blaze McKinney and Elly Productions would take place. As they head onto the back straightaway, you see the 87 car. 49 kind of ran him out of room, but he also ducks below the apron. 49 probably didn't like that, so Elly Productions closes up on the right side of him and basically forces him back below the double yellow. 87 car moves back up the racetrack, nearly getting into the 49 car. A tough battle there between those two drivers. And this lap would be the 5th lap led by Preston Cope. He would go on to lead the most laps in this race out of any of the other drivers. As you can see, the 49 car heading into the next set of corners would move up the racetrack a little bit, opening a window for the 87 of Blaze McKinney to once again try and pass the 49 car. This time, he has major help from Logan Shore in the 3rd position. Heading down the back straightaway, Preston Cope, you see him just hugging that double yellow, a very smart decision early in the race. That's a very valuable spot for the leaders to be. Heading through the corner on that bottom lane, the 24 car continuing to lead, just hugging that inside line. It is a valuable place in the corners. And now, as you see, heading through the next set of corners, it would be the 49 car of Elly Productions, getting below the 87, who moved up the racetrack a little bit. And then they would cross the start-finish line. Preston Cope continuing to lead, the 87 moving down in front of the 9. Somewhat risky move on his part, but nonetheless it would get him the 3rd position. As you can see, the 49 car continuing to block heading into the corner. Runs up the racetrack a little bit, and that would foreshadow the events of the following lap, where the 49 car runs up the racetrack just enough that he gives the 87 an entire lane of room. The 9 of Logan Shore moves down. That would mean the 49 car gets trapped on the outside lane with no help. Preston Cope continuing to lead on the bottom, 87 and the 9 linking up right behind him. Then on to the next lap. This would be the first caution of the race. Logan Shore minding his own business, running into the corner, perfectly fine. Then the 49 car gets to his left rear a little bit, runs him up, and eventually spins him out into the wall. The first caution of the race, the 9 car hammers the outside wall. So does the 49 of Elly Productions. Luckily, this would not be the end of their race. Their cars would still be able to be repaired and be raced for the win here today. However, let's take an onboard look from onboard the 49 car. Runs up the racetrack. No way he's going to get around him there, so he goes low, doesn't lift, and now he wrecks the 9 car. This would lead to a penalty for the 49 car, which would mean a 1-point deduction at the end of the race. You can see Logan Shore entering his pit box nearly hits the 87 car. Maybe went down a little bit too early. Now he would start to pit, and then heading off pit lane. Penalties would be dished out to both the 87 car and the 9, so that would leave Preston Cope and Elly Productions to lead the race, heading on to the green flag on lap number 16. Preston Cope would get a really good restart, just jumping out in front, and the 87 of Blaze McKinney would use the outside lane to overpower that 49 car. That would be the first and only time in this race that an outside lane pass would be made. 87 of Blaze McKinney pulls into second, and then the 9 and the 49 battle side by side for third. Then the 87 runs up the racetrack a little bit, the 49 car goes with him, and the 9, Logan Shore, gets in the left rear of the 49 a little bit. Maybe a little love tap due to the events of earlier. Either way, the 49 car nearly hits the wall, but he's able to keep it straight and keep running. He would eventually pull back down behind the 9 car, making it single file once again. Heading on to the next lap, the 9 car would run up the racetrack a little bit, scaring the 49 a little bit into hitting the outside wall. Really tough spot for the 49 car of Elly Productions. He would go back down the racetrack. Luckily, next lap they would pit, so he wouldn't lose a whole lot of ground. As you can see, he's just trying to avoid the 9 car, who he probably thinks is going to be going a lot farther back than he actually does. Then, heading on to the green flag pit stops, Logan Shore overshoots the pits on lap 24. That means he will get a black flag. But that wouldn't be the only one. Preston Cope would get into the 87 who was trying to enter his pit. He would spin him out, and that would cause the 24 of Preston Cope to get a black flag himself. Miraculously, it would be the 49 car of Elly Productions who would leave the pits first despite coming in last, and the 87 of Blaze McKinney would run out in second. And this would lead to a close battle for the lead in the final 6 laps of the race between Elly Productions and Blaze McKinney. It wouldn't take long for McKinney to decide that he wanted the lead. He would move down to the inside lane and take the lead, heading on to 5 laps to go that time by. And they would stay single file for the remainder of the race until the final lap. The 87 of McKinney still leading on that inside line, just trying to stay glued to that double yellow, trying to take away any opportunity the 49 car could have. Heading on to the back straightaway. See them still single file. However, he's moving up and down the racetrack to try and take away the draft from the 49 car. The only thing he really has left. Just trying to do whatever he can to hold on to the lead and get the victory. The 49 car would enter turn 3 a little bit too wide, and that would allow the 87 to get a pretty comfortable lead heading out of turn 4. And in the end, Blaze McKinney would take the checkered flag. He would win the first race of the Elly Productions Cup Series. A really great race by the 87. He didn't lead a whole lot of laps, but he led the ones that mattered. You can see him heading down pit road, heading into victory lane. You see the 24 of Preston Cope and the 49 of Elly Productions with him. Enters the Gatorade victory lane. A really nice job by the 87 car. If we take a look at your finishing results here, see it's Blaze McKinney taking the win with Elly Productions second. Shore and Cope would finish lap down, and then Blake Garcia would get a DNF. In the point standings, Blaze McKinney locked in with that win, and Elly Productions, of course, with that one penalty, is deducted a point. 87 car celebrates in victory lane. We thank everybody for watching this race. We hope you enjoyed it. Please comment down below what you think of these races. Do you like them? Do you enjoy them? Well, if you do, please subscribe for more next week. We'll be racing at Phoenix. Hopefully it'll be a fun race. Until then, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.